The head-pounding knock at the door comes for the 28th time that same night. Having to abandon my cooking once again, I promptly hustle out to the doorway, orange bowl filled to the brim with a variety of homemade candies made by yours truly. "Trick or treat!" the toddler squeaks. As he looks up at me, the dinosaur hoodie drops over his beady eyes. "What a nice costume!" I sigh, grabbing a handful of candies and dumping them into the half-full pillow sack. "Thank you!" he says as he waddles down my porch steps and back to his dad. I slowly shut the door closed and retreat to the kitchen. I quickly pull my golden-colored chicken out of the steaming oven and onto the counter, where I begin to bombard it with spices of all sorts. I still do feel the slightest feeling of guilt. I mostly enjoy handing out my candies to the troublesome teenagers, as the older they are, the more I give them. It's really just a fun-sized chocolate bar filled with a dash of vodka and some meth. I usually individually wrap them with pink or purple ribbons to make it look cheesy. Ever since I began giving out these candies, which has been for well over 3 years now, no one has accused me yet of their children waking up the next morning vomiting and sweating until they either drop dead or take a visit to the hospital. After all, I'm not the only one that does it in the neighborhood. There's Peter down the street who hands out similar homemade lollipops that appear to be store-bought. I have to admit, I've really outdone myself this time. The chicken looked great and ready to devour. Before I can bring it to the dining table, I hear the knocking at the door for the 29th time. The knock sounds hard, shaking the floor. Shocked, I peek through a small crack I made in the door and see a small boy, 6 to 7 years old, wearing a little, small white mask, similar to the Jabberwocky's dance crew mask. He's wearing a black hoodie and black jeans. He stands there, staring at me from behind his mask. I grab the bowl of candy off the drawers behind me and hold it in front of him. "Take a candy. Your costume sure scared me." He peeks down at the candy and looks back up at me. "I know your secret, Anne." A ghostly voice, cold as ice, mutters. His voice shoots chills throughout my body. How did he know my name, and where were his parents? He remained silent after his statement, waiting for my reaction. "Oh, whatever do you mean?" I stammer. "Your candies are drugged. They made my friends sick." Following this statement, he slapped the bowl out of my shaking hand, scattering candy all over my porch. The bowl shattered upon impact. "What's your problem, kid? Pick up that this instant!" I shout, stomping out my door. The child tilts his head, appearing to be confused at the statement. "You heard me! Pick up the candy!" I repeat. He shakes his head, backing up a couple of steps. "Well, how would you like it if I slapped your candy bag out of your hands? Not very nice, now is it? Now pick up the goddamn candy!" He shrieked a high-pitched scream and ran down the steps of my porch and across the street. "Hey, get back here!" I shout, slamming the door behind me and slipping on my slippers. I sprint across the street and past innocent children in costumes and bewildered parents. I manage to see a small, dark figure pushing his way past others. He turns onto the next street, crowded with cars and screaming kids. At least this street is lit up. I could clearly see him far ahead on the uneven pavement, but he was far too fast. He turned the next street very quickly, causing me to lose him. Grumpy, I make my way back home to see kids huddled on my porch taking fistfuls of chocolates like a piñata just burst. I make my way up my porch and realize that my front door is locked. The kids, watching me curse at the starry sky, flee towards their angered parents and quickly make their way onward. Luckily, I usually kept my back door unlocked, so I hopped my fence and managed to make my way into my nice, cozy home once more. Locking the door behind me, I turned on my porch lights and returned to my kitchen. Great. Just great. The chicken was now cold. Ruined. I don't even think I could get a worse Halloween night. I decide to clean up my porch. I make sure to unlock the door this time and head outside. I scoop up 2 handfuls of candy and bring them inside to put them in a new bowl. I bring the bowl outside and begin to clean up. Finally, when every candy is returned to the bowl and every last shard of orange glass was swept up, I felt a whole lot better, considering Halloween night was almost over, as it was 11 o'clock. I decided to bring a chair out and sit on the porch for the rest of the night. Only a couple of guests attended, all teenagers. Once the last light on the street turned off, I returned back inside, feeling a little bit better, but still very exasperated. With the remainder of the night, I popped on one of my old horror movie flicks, Hellraiser, into the VHS and began to doze off on the lumpy couch next to my bowl of steamy, buttery popcorn. But before I can completely fall asleep, a loud knocking comes at my door. What in the world? I mutter, bolting up from the couch. I swing the door open and shout, "Go home! It's past midnight, you—" I pause. It's the boy in the black hoodie. Before I have a chance to react, he disappears across the street once again. "Yeah, you best run away before I call the cops on you, you little shit!" I scream. "Get the hell away from my house!" With all of my force, I slam the door shut and lock it. Just in case, I grab a knife from the kitchen and return to the couch, ready to scare off any late-night visitors. I return to the couch and lie down like nothing happened. The movie's near the ending, the same ending I've watched as a kid, as a teen, and as an adult several times. The movie was long finished, and I had turned off the television. I slept on the couch for no apparent reason, and began to doze off once again. I believe I got 2 hours of sleep before I heard my back gate creaking open. Now fully awake and alert, I grabbed my sharp knife off the floor, standing in the middle of the living room. I quickly flicked on the light switch and stared at my sliding doors, eyes round as quarters. For around 15 minutes, all I could see was the sprinklers lying dormant in the middle of my lawn and my garden, flowers swaying in the gentle wind. Just when I thought it was my mind being paranoid, I hear the 29th knock at my door of the night. Or morning. It's the same knock as the other 2, shaking the floor, causing me to jump out of my skin. I dare not open the door, as the child might be there. I creep towards a nearby window in my bedroom that reveals a part of my porch. I slowly and quietly move the shades of the window. Slowly. I don't want to draw any attention. I open the shades enough to peek through, and I see the same little black hoodie, sitting on my porch steps, waiting for me to answer the door. He seemed harmless. Maybe he just needed help and he was afraid, but then again, he knew my name and my secret. No, I should probably leave him there. He might leave. I inspect his every movement, making sure nothing is harmful or will damage my property for the next 20 minutes. And just when I think he's going to get up and leave, he stands up and whispers something to himself, but I can hear it. I can hear it loud and clear.
"I know you're watching me through the window, Anne. Come on out here now."
His voice is soft, ghostly so. His words seem to pass right through me, shaking me right down to the core. I jolt back from the shades, heart racing. This cannot be happening. I need to wake up. I scramble out of my room and into the living room. I needed to act fast before this boy caused me any harm. Without thinking, I scream. "What do you want from me anyways?" There's no response. The only noise I can hear with my delicate ears is the wind picking up dead, crunchy leaves. I decided to call up Peter for help. The only thing the police would do would be locking me up for my candy. I punch in the numbers, heart feeling like it was going to leap out of my chest at any minute. To my dismay, Peter picked up.
"Anne? What are you still doing awake?"
"Pete, you gotta help me. There's a little boy that won't leave me alone. He's some kind of spirit."
"Jeez, Anne, did you eat one of your candies on accident? Here, I'll come over there, but I assure you, nothing is wrong."
"Thank you." Peter hung up shortly as I sat on the couch, miserable. Peter called me up 5 minutes later.
"Help me,"
Peter says in an agonizing voice. He strains the words out slowly. "Pete, are you okay? Pete!" I cry.
"The boy,"
Peter mutters, hanging up. Tears streaming from my face, I sprint out the front door to see Peter, standing on my lawn, cackling like an idiot. "You asshole!" I sob, socking him in the chest. "Do you even know how hard this night has been?" Sorry. He holds in a laugh. It's just that... "Just shut up!" I shout, clenching my fists. "This boy has been tormenting me for hours now. For all I know, he could be inside my house right now, wrecking everything." I shove Peter and storm off inside my house, furious at the boy, furious at Peter, furious at myself. I climb into my bed and scream. I begin to cry a river as Peter hustles down the sidewalk, laughing. As I sob in the darkness of my eerie room, I hear the shattering of glass. Probably my sliding doors. Springing into action but still sobbing, I grab the knife that was sitting on my nightstand and roll under my bed, the best hiding spot I could think of at the time. I hear small, soft footsteps on my wooden floor outside my room. I control my sobs as much as I can as the shadow of tiny feet walking past my doorway makes it into my line of sight. The little feet return and head towards my room. The door creaks open and the black-hooded child wearing his white mask tiptoes inside, holding a glass shard from my sliding doors that he broke. "I don't even have to look, Anne. You're underneath the bed, holding a knife, wishing for Peter. Just come on." I begin to sob uncontrollably as the boy crouches down and gives me the good old stare. He offers me a tiny hand. So friendly, so innocent. With pleasure, I bring the knife down upon the boy's hand, creating a large, gaping gash in his hand. He lets out an inhuman roar as he retreats, leaving a slot of time to run out the room and run. He chases after me with ridiculous speed, diving on top of my back and slicing the back of it. I throw the boy off of me, sending him down onto the wooden floor. I jog into the living room, grasping my wound with one hand and the knife in the other as I prepare myself for the worst. What I see limping around the corner is no longer a child. It is a skinny, pale, bony monster, still wearing the same mask and same hoodie, hissing and spewing out black liquids that appear to be blood. The height of it increased as well, to about the same height as my waist. It crawled across the floor as it got a good grip on my ankle, taking 2 nips. I slice halfway through its neck, causing it to let go for a moment and drip black, slimy liquid all over the carpet. The pale figure squeals as it makes its final lunge at me. I plunge the knife through its mask, causing it to go limp and hit the ground. As the monster slams to the black carpet, I wake up in a padded cell. Hair a mess, limbs aching. What? Well, as I later came to learn, there was no boy with a white mask and no monsters. But there was candies that I confessed to giving out. And there was a Peter, now dead. I had half imagined the events of the night. When Peter really walked away, he heard me screaming. So he grew worried. The front door had been locked, so in panic, he smashed through the sliding doors. So basically, the boy, the white figure monster, had been Peter all along. And near the beginning of the night, the boy in the white mask was real. He really did know that I had drugged the candy, because he lived next door to me without me knowing for the past few years, and saw me preparing the candy one day. My mind had cracked near morning. I'd been taken in a few days later, lying next to Peter's corpse. I sat silently in my padded cell, admiring my surroundings where I would remain for a long time. I peer at my door, where a figure out of sight knocks at my door for the 30th time.